Hello and welcome. This is the Mojo Story. I'm Barkha Dutt. Our special broadcast today focuses on the raging controversy around the anti-conversion bill that the BJP government in Karnataka wants to pass amid rising attacks on the Christian community. Let's take a look at the key developments of this developing story on our broadcast today. Is this a law or a proposed law in bad faith? Karnataka's anti-conversion bill is drawing criticism, especially as it comes against the backdrop of what rights activists are calling spiraling attacks on the Christian community. Since September, we have seen churches come under attack and even religious books burned. The bill seeks to provide stringent punishment for what it's calling induced conversions. Meanwhile, Christian groups have done their own investigations on the spate and violent attacks and said it is Dalits and Adivasis, Christians, who have come under the fiercest attacks. That is what we know from their own investigations. The BJP is determined to go ahead with this anti-conversion bill, which is, by the way, in several other BJP states, a proposed law as well that has been challenged in court. Let's introduce our guests on the program today. We are joined by Bishop Peter Machado, who's the Archbishop of Bengaluru. Welcome to the program, sir. We're also joined by rights activist and lawyer Manavi Atri. She's with the People's Union for Civil Liberties. Welcome to the program, Manavi. Mohandas, who's an analyst, but also the chairman of the Manipal Global Education. Bengaluru is his home, is also on the program with us. And we're also joined by Dr. Giridhara Upadhyaya, who's a leader of the BJP in Karnataka. Archbishop, I'd of course like to start with you, if I may. Archbishop, the question for you is this. The state government says that their resistance is only to induced conversions, not to conversions by choice. What is the concern of the church at this point? What is the apprehension?
Ma'am, I would say that, first of all, the government doesn't say that only one type of conversions, etc. They want to ban all the conversions. And surely they say they use the word forced conversions, the induced or incentivized or fraudulent conversions. My contention is I am not very sure whether this charge against us is true or not. There might be some incidents here and there where people are a little more enthusiastic. But then I say that the rule of the country, the rule of the law is always there. There are at least 11 sections in the police code under which action can be taken. And this does not warrant a special or different bill itself, which will not bring a good name and reputation to Karnataka. Karnataka is a developed state. Mr. Mohandas by himself knows, and the others also. There are a lot of good things about Karnataka. The people, the culture, the spirit, the enterprise, the industry, and in all this background, to have to blame the Christians or put a mark on the Christians that we are not very decent, we are always dangerous. I don't think this serves a good way. And that is why I requested that surely the bill is not a good thing to be brought in our state. Though it has been brought in North India, I do not know what are the conditions there. But all the same, in Karnataka and in other places, the government need not make a special mention of special case of the Christians. We are normal citizens. We would like to be citizens of this country and be ruled by the governance and the rules of this country. This is what is my contention.
And I think you've spoken in a very sort of a measured way and brought this perspective. If we may come out, we're seeing the PUCL report and we can go back to what it actually said. If we can come out of this now, Archbishop, the question to you is this. One of the very important points that you've made is that the law already exists for any illegal forced conversions. There's no need for a separate law. The penal code already provides for that. Would you care to expound on that? I know not from a legal perspective, but from the church's perspective.
Yeah, as the church, we are abiding citizens, law abiding citizens, and surely, as the constitution itself says, Article number 25, that there's a freedom to preach, to practice, and also to propagate our religion. The word propagate is not a simple word, which means that I speak about my religion in the open, in the outside, and as far as possible, I would like, since I'm happy about my religion, I would like to also give this good news to the others. This is no crime. And if at all it sort of leads up to conversion, the government of India has not forbidden conversions. The constitution also provides certain instances where we can convert, provided we keep up the rules and regulations of the country. And in that
Yes.
background, to sort of to say that the conversion is a criminal activity, I think this is really a sad thing. And as I said in the other forums, it hurts us Christians because we have given our best to this country in the line of education, in the line of medicine, in the line of social service. We would like to continue. And surely we need the support of the government, the support of the public for this. One more thing
Yes.
which is disturbing is what we call the hate crimes, or the, as the PUCL
And
is reported.
I was just going to point out that we have CCTV footage of an absolutely chilling attack where a man enters with a sword and actually threatens the pastor inside a church. And we'll play that as you talk about it. Go ahead, Archbishop.
Yeah, so the PUCL has investigated and found that there were 39 attacks or this kind of incidents from January till now. In the last 2 months, there have been 9 incidents. And what is saddening is that the government doesn't make a forceful statement to say that this is not good, this is not correct, and it is not good on the part of the majority or the ones who are troubling us to take the law into their hands. One message from the government would be enough to control these fringe elements, because I know by and large the majority are with us. I don't blame everybody. The Hindus, we have much to learn from them, I say many a time. The Muslims also. And therefore, there are these small groups which are over enthusiastic and wanting to take the law into their hands. But the message from the government has been loud and clear that this is a country which is ruled by law, not just by
Yes.
sentiments and not just by groups and the communities as such.
Okay, I want to take this to Mohandas Pai, and then I'll get Dr. Giridhara Upadhyaya of the BJP. Mohan, you've heard what the Archbishop has said, and on the other hand, we're seeing images of some of those attacks that he was making a reference to. As a proud citizen of Karnataka and Bengaluru, of course, as an Indian also, what is the need for a separate law? You heard the Archbishop say that if there is indeed inducement or illegality or any pressure, the penal code already provides for action, and this separate law will add to a kind of insecurity among religious minorities. It is not needed. What is the need for it?
Barkha, let me explain. First of all, I agree with the Archbishop about the Catholic community and the Anglican community. There's a Church of South India and North India, which are old Christian communities. They're very good people. The Jesuits are good people. They got education. They're very settled in the society. They are not the problem. They're not the problem. In the last 10, 15 years, a new breed of pastors have come into India, driven by money from the United States, money from Europe, money from Asia in Hong Kong and Korea. They're going on a conversion spree using money and many things else. All these guys are pastors. They are not people of the Catholic Church or people of the Anglican Church. These are all old churches, and they are converting people. Even the Catholics are being converted, and the numbers have become very large. Of course, John Dayal in Delhi. I'm sure you know John. He's come on your program many times. John wrote an article in 2014 in BPB, a German portal, where he said, no one believed the official figure that Christians constitute just 2.3% of population. The Catholic Church, Protestant groups, and particularly Pentecostal churches collectively claim a total figure that may be 2 to 3 times the official census figure. And he also goes to say that most people do not register themselves officially in order to continue taking advantage of the government's affirmative action program that include reservation, blah, blah, blah. So there is a problem in this country. The problem is not of the Catholic Church. Anglican Church are the Jesuits. They are good people. This new breed of people are coming driven by money. Let me give you a personal example, Barkha. Very close relative of mine, 1 degree separated, was in hospital, age. These pastors came to him and said they want to pray. He said, all right. They prayed and said, look, you're going to die, and why didn't you convert? Otherwise, you go to hell. And then they said later, next visit, oh, your bill is very high, and we'll pay the bill if you convert. And then they came to one of another relative's house in Bangalore.
Why?
Bangalore,
Yeah.
not the Catholics. Let me say, the Catholics are good people. They're all my friends. And then they said, Why didn't you come and meet the pastor? So this pastor-driven thing is there. You can go to Tamil Nadu and see the damage. You can go to Andhra Pradesh and
Okay,
see the damage.
I have a question for you. I have a question for you.
They're abusive. You can see them on the videos. You can see in Punjab and everything else. And I would like Archbishop to object to that. Stop the abuse of other religions by these pastors who do very unethical things.
I'll get the Archbishop.
People, blah,
Let me
blah,
ask
blah,
a question.
so that
Let me ask a question. Let me ask a question. I don't know about this John Dayal article, but I do know the census of India. The census of India, unless we're saying the census of India is flawed, the census of India shows us, let's bring up those slides.
I know, Barkha.
Just see, 1 minute. Karnataka figures, Christian community has declined in numbers, and nationally, it's wrong means the census got it wrong. Are we saying the census doesn't know how to count our citizens by community? Okay, that's the national figure.
Let me quote a friend, John Dayal. He writes, the official census is therefore not the best guide to the number of Christians in India. I'm sure John Dayal knows it better than any data that comes out, because people don't declare. Why do people not declare? They'll rule the Barkha. You heard of somebody called Dalit Christians. There's a movement led by John Dayal to get Dalit Christians to continue the benefit of reservations. They gone to the Supreme Court, he rejected. Again, they went to Supreme Court, they put pressure on Supreme Court. Supreme Court said they'll hear. So there's a problem. Let us admit first, there's a problem of rampant conversion driven by money.
Here's my question. Here's my question.
Churches, the New Age churches. And that is leading to discomfort, and that is why the government is bringing a law not to attack the Christian community, against everybody who converts, so that they can register and do
here is my question to you, Mohandas Pai, but also actually to the BJP leader, Dr. Giridhara Upadhyaya. If indeed John Dayal is correct, because I'm going by the census, I'm going to go by the census of India. I have no other reference. The census of India shows a decline in the Christian population in Karnataka, a slight decline nationally. The Pew survey based out of the United States of America also shows no significant difference in the religious breakup of India. If indeed, that there you can see the findings of the Pew survey. What Mohan, you're saying is correct. Let the BJP government in Karnataka use a group of neutral surveyors, do a data survey, show us the data. Dr. Upadhyaya, what does the data tell you? Should there not be data placed in the public domain before such an anti-conversion law is brought? Because we have only the census figures to go by and the most recent Pew survey. Dr. Upadhyaya.
Let me tell you one thing. There is a new group called crypto Christians. These people don't come into your survey. That is a problem. Even the government doesn't have a proper statistics about the number of conversion which is happening, because it is happening illegally. That's why we want an anti-conversion bill, where a person who wants to convert 60 days before his conversion, he registers himself with a competitive authority, maybe a DC, and the person who's converting also will do that. And transparency will be there. Then you'll come to know the correct number. Here, our MLA's mother was she was converted without his knowledge. Do you know that? 20,000 conversions in one village in Chitrudurga has happened, and it is not, you don't get the data anywhere. And what Mohandas Pai sir told was right. Majority of the Catholic Christians, we do not have any problem. It is to do, there are 45,000 denominations of Christianity in this world. They say one Christ, but they have 45,000 denominations. And these people have made it a danda. I can show you people who are...
But where is the evidence? Where is the data? Where is the data? Where is the evidence? You have to have some data before you change your policy, right?
There are hundreds of such pastors who have become millionaires with no tie, and the poor is the poor. He is still the poor fellow who has got converted, and he is still a Dalit Christian only. He is not allowed to pray along with the upper caste Christian. This I am not told. In 2016, the Bishop Conference, which was held, the Catholic Bishop Conference themselves, they have told that Christians they face untouchability in Christianity also. And out of 240 bishops, there are only 12 Dalits in of the 19 million converts, they say are Dalits. 70% conversion is Dalits, and only 12 out of 240 are Dalits. So this is what is happening.
So can I ask you?
Let everything be on paper. If somebody gets converted, let that be on paper. If not, these crypto Christians are eating into our The
Okay.
real poor's
Okay. Okay.
reservation is education.
Let me take this to the rest of the panel now. Sanjoy, to you first, as a lawyer. Both of you are lawyers, you and Manvi. But both of you speaking as lawyers, this is already in other states been taken to this, to the higher courts to be challenged. What is the ground on which this will be challenged? One, of course, is the fundamental right to practice and propagate. So actually, to convert is very much a fundamental right. But of course, the argument being made here is about inducement and forced conversion. Sanjoy, go ahead.
Thank you, Barkha, for having me in your show. First of all, you're absolutely right. The right to propagate is an integral part of Article 25. And yes, Hinduism is not a proselytizing faith, but the right to propagate is given to every Indian. Now, we are assuming and we're going into the debate on the assumption that conversion is wrong. And that is not correct. The fact that there should not be any forced conversion, there should not be any improper use of force or undue influence is right. But the point is that is already taken care of by the general law, the contract law, the criminal law. There are existing laws. We don't need special laws now to attack the issue of conversion. Now, sadly, if you see a survey of all these laws passed by various states, and some states have even passed ordinances improving their laws, it is atrocious. For example, on the converting authority, the burden is put to show that the conversion is free. Now, this goes against all notions of law, because how can you prove something in the negative? If someone has some complaint, that person has to prove that, look, this is the allurement, this is the inducement, this is the use of force, this is the misrepresentation. But to put it on the converting authority, that I have to show that there was no allurement, there was no inducement, there was no misrepresentation, there was no fraud, and if I can't prove in the negative, then I will have to face prison. So obviously the objective over here, and we have been very successful, that we have created this minority fear, this fear in the majority that there's something wrong happening, etc. I understand that at times the people who are the object of conversion are Dalits and Adivasis, tribals, who may not have that same level of socioeconomic development. But the solution is to uplift them socioeconomically, not to bring in laws. Now, I want to end here by one point, and it's a very unfortunate black letter mark on our Supreme Court, that the Madhya Pradesh Odisha and Madhya Pradesh were the first two states which got off the block in the 70s, bringing out these anti-conversion laws under the garb of Freedom of Religion Act. Obviously, they can't say we can't go against the right to propagate, because that's a constitutional right. So they came up with this Freedom of Religion Act, and the Supreme Court in Stanislaus' judgment had upheld the constitutional validity of these laws. So this is how these states subsequently got the encouragement to come up with these similar laws. So time has come for the Supreme Court to revisit this black judgment in Stanislaus and to emphatically say that the right to propagate is an integral part of the freedom of religion and Article 25, and every person has a right within the bounds of law to go ahead and propagate. I think the law, albeit take action in accordance with law.
Let me just get got your. Once again, hold on. I'll come back to you. Don't make all your points at the same point. I'll come back to you. Let's keep the conversation going. Manvi, you have sort of co-authored the PUCL report that looks at the violent attacks on the Christian community. Can you take us first through your key findings and what you see as the linkage between, if any, between this proposed law and the rise in attacks?
So thank you, Barkha. First of all, at the very outset, I think I want to just respond to the claim of Gulihati Shekhar's claim of his mother being converted and the 15,000 to 20,000 conversions being alleged in Hosadurga in his constituency. And I just want to draw your attention to the fact that the Tehsildar in this constituency was ordered to do a survey into these alleged conversions. And he came back with a report, an official Tehsildar report, and he said, and I quote, that all people who have left Hinduism have done so on their own accord. And this is the reality. So there was no 15 to 20,000 conversions in Hosadurga at all. So at the very outset, this is the starting point of this debate of so-called forced conversions was his own testimony. And I think that at the very first should be debunked. Now, going into the PUCL report, we have found primarily three things. That all of the attacks actually that we've looked into, the attacks, rather the hate crimes, how we see them, are all on the pretext of forced conversions, are all on the pretext of conversion. And violently, what you see is an assault on the right to practice. Forget the right to propagate and profess religion. Right now, the reality, ground reality in Karnataka is that there isn't a right to practice religion for the Christian community. And the third aspect that I think somebody also already spoke about was the Dalit Christians and the SC/ST Christians aspect that I want to bring to fore. The way in which the community is attacked, the verbal assault is through casteist slurs. Caste has a huge operation in this kind of attacks. And here is when I want to you all back to a specific speech of Ambedkar, which he gave in Mahar conference in Bombay in 1936, where he himself has given the prescription saying that why do you remain in a religion which does not treat you as human beings? Why do you remain in a religion which prohibits you from entering temples? Why do you remain in a religion which prohibits you from securing drinking water from a public well? So the prescription to convert, not just from Ambedkar, constitutionally as well, is very much within my right to practice my religion, within my right to choose. And finally,
Okay,
just to add to something.
yeah, hang on. Let me just get down. Yeah, hang on. I'll come back to you because again, there are too many points to follow. But the important point that you make, one is that you debunk the BJP MLA's claim on these mass forced conversions that take place in his constituency. Secondly, the very really important point is that the attacks have all taken place against the backdrop of an allegation of a forced conversion. Dr. Upadhyaya of the BJP, I think I must get you to respond to this first, and then I'll come to Mohandas Pai. You've heard what Manavi Atri of the PUCL has said. One, that all of these recent attacks that have taken place are linked to the allegation of so-called forced conversion. And secondly, that your MLA's claim has been found to be inauthentic. Please respond.
Inauthentic because officially you don't get the proper statistics. That's what the Tahsildar has given. What is there in the records he has given. But there are illegal conversions which has happened in thousands. In record, you don't get it. That's what I'm saying. There is a
but then what is the proof? What is the proof?
Christians who are there. They do not show their listing in records because they want to enjoy the reservation, the education reservation, all other things. And they deprive the other poor people who really have to get it. They want both the sides. They want the benefit what they get when they get converted. At the same time, they want to enjoy the reservation also in the government record. That's why you don't get a proper picture. There is nothing to debunk here. Everybody knows what is the government statistics and what is the actual number of conversion which has happened in this country. John Dayal's listing already, Mohandas Paiji has told about it. So there is a large chunk of these people who you can't see them. We want transparency on that. Let them register and get them converted. And I was told that in 1978, whatever, I am not a lawyer, the Stanley Shears verdict or something, it's a constitution-based judgment. Do you know they have given a very clear definition of the word propagate. It does not amount to conversion. Very clearly, it has been mentioned in that judgment. If I'm not mistaken, there are two great lawyers here. They can tell.
Yeah. That's.
And
yeah, one minute.
I'm trying to propagate my.
Can we unmute him, please?
I'm clear about Hindu gods. When I went for Sri Ram Nidhi collection door to door outside outskirts of Bengaluru, some people did not allow us inside. Being Hindus one generation before, they consider Hindu gods as devils. Come on, Christianity preaches love. This is the love which you preach. They consider Hindu. They were Hindu some time back.
Okay, Dr. Upadhyaya.
That's what I'm
saying. One minute. Now you're making two different points. One point you're going on making is that the counting is under the radar. Before I come to Mohandas Pai, I'll let the Archbishop respond to everything he's heard so far, and then I'll come to Mohan. Archbishop, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Barkha. First of all, Mr. Mohandas Pai says we Christians are good people, rather Catholics are good people. The other people have been converting, etc. First of all, we don't go into these distinctions now. We all are Christians. Perhaps we are practicing it differently. Our liturgical systems are different. And I also respect what the others are doing. I also perhaps could say that there might be some who are going to a little more enthusiastic way, but for which the laws of the country are there. by saying that the Christians should not be doing this or that. You'll be putting a fear in us. And surely, as we have seen from the hate crimes, you consider something different at all. And as regards the Mr. Goli Hatti's allegation, there are so many allegations which have not been proved at all, which have not been this thing at all. And the burden of the proof lies on those who are attacked. The attackers are nowhere considered as being guilty in any way. Sometimes the police don't even take care, sort of cognizance of these facts. But the ones who are attacked, the ones who are cannot speak, cannot open their mouths, they are considered as being guilty. And thirdly, I would say also, I mean, this dialogue, or rather this sort of issue of what's called Dalit Christians, etc., has been going on. And the moment you become a Christian, you have to be deprived of all the rights and the privileges that you get. I don't think this is social justice also. Just, I think a few days back, there was a High Court judgment or Supreme Court High Court judgment to say that change of religion does not make any change in the caste. The caste sometimes is skin deep, and therefore it takes a lot of
Yeah,
time, a lot
but
of
I'm saying,
years.
I'm saying, yeah, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, wherever the debate is on the Dalit Christians and the reservation entitlements, it cannot be conflated with attacks. And the fact is that, as the
Yes,
PUCL report shows, the maximum number of attacks have been on Dalit and Adivasi Christians who were previously obviously scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, who then embraced Christianity. Let me take this to Mohandas Pai. Mr. Pai, my problem with this argument that we've been hearing is this: we are being told we can't believe the census, we can't believe the Pew survey, we can't believe the surveyors at the local level. So that means we're basically saying we're going to legislate without any official documentation to back this claim that there is widespread mass forced conversion. There has to be some documentation. Surely, as a person who deals with numbers all the time, you agree with that, Mohan?
But Barkha, the documentation is there with people outside the government system who can get you documents. The document is there in the form of videos available in the public domain. The document is there in the Joshua Project of the United States Evangelical Council. It is all there. Now, one of the lawyers said, Ambedkar said people must escape all this caste and everything. But Ambedkar, I must remind you, said don't become Christian, don't become Muslims, because you'll be discriminated. And as far as the violence goes, violence of any type, whether by the Maoists or by anybody else, is illegal, should be put down very, very hard. Violence is not acceptable in society, including by the Maoists, because the PUCL is known to be a Maoist supporter. We know all this, and that's why they go and investigate. They're not neutral parties. We would like neutral parties to come, possibly get better reports rather than all this.
But equally, but whether or not, whether or not you see the PUCL.
Violence is not acceptable by anybody in the country. They must be put down. There's no debate on that. Second, there is illegal conversion by fact. If you want to come to Bangalore, we'll take you and show you where the conversion is going on. You can talk to the pastors. I wish you had called some of the pastors on a debate instead of the Archbishop, because the Archbishop is frankly not responsible for any forced conversion. He will never do it. They're all good people. Get the New Age pastors on your show. You ask them, where do they get the money? How do they do it? What have they done, etc. Please get them. They will tell you. Because
I think the point. I think the point. I think
highly respected person. We all respect him. We worship him. We seek his blessing. He's not responsible. Don't get him. Get the pastors on a debate. Then you'll see what happens. See, if you get the wrong kind of people and say, "Oh, we are being pained." Yes, he's being pained. It is true. They're all my friends. We live with them for 40, 50 years. They're good people. Get those pastors on a debate, Barkha, and get 4 or 5 of them.
But my question. Okay, hang on. My point is, if you want neutral bodies to investigate the allegation of violence against Christians, we must also have neutral bodies to investigate what the actual status of forced conversions is. But Manvi, I let you respond, since you've been called a Maoist sympathizer, or your organization has. I don't want to get distracted into that debate. I just want to I want you to elaborate on the point you made, that you found a link between the conversion controversy and the violence.
Like you said, Barkha, I'm not going to go into justifying the long-standing civil liberties contributions that PUCL has done over many decades. And quickly, just to move on to the question of the link between the forced conversion and the pretext of forced conversion and the hate crimes, you see the statements that are made that we've documented extremely detailedly in our report. The terminologies that are used by the Hindutva mobs, which we have been identified as RSS, Hindu Jagaran Vediki, and Banjara Nigama, they use the terminologies of specifically saying, why are you converting? Why you are doing this because of the caste? Why are you converting? So these central questions around caste continue to be there, and they continue to use it as an assault on dignity. And this is where I want to bring back to add to what Sanjay had said, that in the light of Puttaswamy, which is the right to privacy judgment, which is now my fundamental right, and my right to choose, which includes not just my right to choose my partner, but also my right to choose my own religion and practice my own religion, the constitution provides for me to be able to freely choose the decision and make these choices. And in that light, the Stanislaus decision must be revisited. We're not at a time where in 1968, 1969, where the Supreme Court did not have that kind of jurisprudence. The jurisprudence needs to be revisited in that sense. And finally,
Okay.
coming to the point of register first, right? Now, it's a very fundamental question that I want to pose to whoever was arguing that we need a bill. That when you say that you are not being allowed entry in your house, and it's because of reservation that people continue to convert, what is this register first? How can somebody else determine the real cause, intent, and purpose of my conversion, which is the reality in the UP law, where the DM through the police then inquires into mine or your real cause or intent and purpose into conversion, right? And that is
And you're saying once you bring in the local district magistrate, there is already an inherent fear of authority. So there is no space available to decide whether it's a free conversion, a free will. Where do you ascertain the free will? Sanjay, I beg your pardon. I'll let you add to that, and then I'll take last comment. Sanjay, go ahead.
No, thank you so much. And I think she's put it beautifully, and I can't better that with Puttaswamy, where the Supreme Court has given the individual the right to dignity and privacy. Now, how can you say that I cannot be denied the right to choose my own God? And this is essentially what you're saying, that you are denying them the right to choose your own God, and you are saying that we know better. I was going to say one small point, and Mr. Pai is nodding his head vigorously. Let him say one provision in the general law which is not there, which can deal with this situation, for which you need a separate special law on conversion. He will have no answer, number one. Number two, let us also understand over here the chilling effect of this. We know how interfaith marriages have happened under the Special Marriages Act. You had to do the doctrine of bans, and you have to give notice earlier, 30 days in advance. And you know, Barkha, with your experience, what these hooligans used to do. They would go to the magistrate's office and look at the list, and when they would find that there are couples from different religions, they would go and intimidate them and their families. So this is what is going to happen if you're going to force them to register. You're forcing the priest to come and face an inquiry as to why he's doing it, what he's doing. At the end of the day, the doctrine of chilling effect, which I was talking about, you have to see that the act may be called something else. When the Congress government wanted to deny Shah Banu her rights and bring a law to undo the right of Muslim women to maintenance, they called the law Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Divorce. Okay, so don't go by the name of the law. What is the chilling effect of the law? Don't call it Freedom of Religion Act. Your law actually is going against the grain of the Indian Constitution, going against the grain of individual dignity.
So
please don't be so condescending towards the people of India. And one day the people of India will answer these people, people like Mohandas Pai, who are the so-called conscience keepers of the country.
So Mohandas Pai, I'm coming to you only, Mohandas Pai. Mohan, the question is this: why do you need a separate law? Again and again, let's come back to where we started. If there is inducement, money, or intimidation, which is the allegation, if there are pastors, new age pastors, who are sort of marauders with foreign funds, why is the existing law not enough? That is Barkha, where the question is. Yes.
Barkha, let me explain. First of all, there is no debate about the right to convert. Every individual has the right to convert. It's there in the constitution. That is not the point of debate. Everybody can convert. A Christian can become a Hindu. A Muslim can become a Christian. There is no debate about that. That is there. That is not what is a debate. What is a debate is illegal conversion by inducement, by coercion, by giving money or anything else. That is the point of the debate. Let's stick to the debate. Let's not say taking away the right to convert. That is not true. That is a misrepresentation. That is not being taken away. Why do you need a law? Now tell me, we had a lot of laws against dowry. We got a lot of laws in the IPC against dowry. Why did they bring a special law to ban dowry, to say when a woman makes a complaint about dowry, she doesn't have to prove anything and the other person has to prove? We did that for a very important reason, because the woman is placed in a very bad situation, and any other person who's supposed to be asking a dowry is placed in a superior position to balance it out. In this case, there is a person who is subject to coercion, undue influence and inducement. That person has to be protected, and that's why there is there. Now we can argue whether the district magistrate should come, whether people fear. I agree with that. The process may be wrong. The process may have to be changed to make it less onerous for somebody to prove they converted in good faith. That I agree with you. That may be there, and Sanjoy may be right, because we should not have the force of the government there to create fear in people. But let us admit one thing. There is large-scale conversion in this country. Whether that's legal or illegal, we need a process to find out, to make sure it is not illegal.
But before we have a law, we should have some process to find out. Exactly as you said. Maybe you're right, but we need some survey. And you're saying that this is all evading surveys. That's what you're saying, Mohan, that this is all slipping through the cracks. Dr. Upadhyaya, Manvi, you wanted a brief interjection. Then Dr. Upadhyaya will give Archbishop the last word. Manvi?
That who is the person complaining that I have been forcefully converted? You had Gulihati Shekhar come in and say that his mother had converted, but she has not before any media, not before any inquiry, she submitted that I have been forcefully converted. If any force is exerted on me, then I must complain of force, right? So there's nobody complaining of any sort of forceful conversion. It is just what we know as a myth and a book.
Okay. Dr. Upadhyaya, fine, got that, Manvi. Dr. Upadhyaya, if you think of a poor person who's converting, and often it will be the poor or people at the bottom of the caste hierarchy, if you require them to go to the district magistrate, there could be a fear factor. Even Mr. Pai is conceding that the moment you see, the district magistrate is the Maibap at the level of a village or a district, that induces fear. That is also a kind of inducement to stop conversion. Dr. Upadhyaya.
Let me tell you one thing. We need a law for this, because there is an atrocity act. Why you wanted it? Some laws will be misused. Now, if 100 out of 100 people, 2 of them misuse, 98 who are benefiting out, you want to just leave them out? Same thing, dowry, the Domestic Violence Act. Why you wanted all this? You could have not had any law for this. No. Similarly, as you don't want a law against conversion. Now, there is no penal clause in the Article 25 if somebody does a conversion through lurement or through any other thing. We want a proper transparency where we want to know the exact number of people who are converted. We don't want that number of crypto Christians increasing who are eating into the real poor people's benefits. That's the only thing.
Okay. I'll give the last word to the Archbishop. Archbishop, this notion of crypto Christians has been used several times on this program. I'll give you the last word. Have you had any dialogue with the state government? Have you reached out? Have they reached out to you? What would you like to say in the end?
Yeah, we have tried to dialogue with the government. I have met the chief minister. We have presented our memorandums many times. And of course, the chief minister is a decent man. I know that he's a good man. He has been perhaps influenced by the others to do this. He has been very courteous to us. I would not like to criticize him on that. And as regards the law itself, we have told him 2 things why we don't want this law. Number one is it will be selective for the Christians alone. And as you have seen, the 6 or 7 states have passed it. And if someone wants to make a study of them, all the accusations have been against the Christians. No other community has been accused. It will not be used by any other community. And I have asked also, for example, you are speaking of Hindus becoming Christians and you want to apply all this law. If the Christians want to become Hindus, would you also apply all this thing? Would you make us go in front of the magistrate, or perhaps to say that it's taken for granted when a Hindu becomes a Christian, it is dangerous, but when a Christian becomes a Hindu, it is normal. Just now, Mr. Upadhyaya said 98 and 2%. We are only 2%. You would be more sort of soft on the 2% rather than harsh on the 2%. And the second thing which I told the chief minister was, see, without the law, we have so many recorded instances of violence from the people, hate crimes are there. With the law, everyone will walk with his license in his pocket and say that I'm doing like the marshals on the road. We are trying to find out and help the government, and there will be more violence, more difficulty. And in the end,
And
you will lose the trust of the Christian community also. We are also doing a lot of sacrifice for the general public and the other things. You know, many a time we Christians are accused that we don't do anything for Christians, but we try to go in search of the others and do good for the
yes,
others. Even the Dalits
yes.
and the poor are the poorest, we are
Well,
trying to do what is fine.
I think with the level of insecurity in the community, good democracy. We saw this with the farmers. In the end, the government had to take back the law. When you're bringing a law, you take all people along with you. That is extremely important. And I would just make 2 points: a dialogue with the community and data. Dialogue and data. Give us the data, show us the data, and dialogue. And we leave it there. The Archbishop has made some important points. I do hope the Karnataka government deepens that dialogue with the Christian community. Thank you to our panelists, to Sanjoy, Manavi, Mohan, Giridhara, and to the Reverend Archbishop. Thank you so much, sir. And to our audience, see you tomorrow, same time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.